All right, so we're going to be looking at kind of an older thread, but a thread nonetheless of our AI. So this is our internal chatbot that we've built. So you can see here this is just looks like a regular user. And we have about it is deployed as an app, so you get an about page, but the chat is what we're interacting with. Um, and here you can just ask it a question. So, uh, uh, for example, let me ask, you know, so in our KB, so our knowledge base,
Sure.
it's not necessarily a keyword, but it just helps the AI know, all right, I should be looking at our knowledge base and not just using my own knowledge. So in our knowledge base, you know, uh, how do I enter in order in Epicor? Let's just do Profit 21. So this is going to sit and think for a second. And what it's doing is it's first recognizing that, oh, you asked me a question about what's in our internal knowledge base. I'm not going off and doing database lookup or any of these other tools that we've taught it how to do. Uh, it then takes that prompt and it will first go and try to find the content in the knowledge base. So we're following a pretty typical RAG process that you would see in the AI space. And what that means is all of our knowledge base is stored in what's called a vector database. What a vector database is a very specialized type of database that enables you to do vector-based searching. What the heck does vector-based searching mean? Uh, you can think about a vector database as a 3D uh, uh, graph, if you will. So you have three dimensions within this graph. And when you put information into this database, it starts taking that information and semantically figuring out where does this information best align to a category or a topic or of the rest of the information that's in there, and it puts that content in a point in 3D space. So you literally have XYZ coordinates of where this content is. And so you populate all these points in this 3D grid. When I ask it a question, it's doing that same logic to say, all right, I'm going to figure out where this prompt fits into that 3D grid. And then it goes and gathers the points that are the closest to them. And those points are the content that it pulls. So it'll then pull all of that content, and now we just have raw information uh, that we can then feed into the AI and say, here's all of the information that I found on this topic. Now I want you to do what you're good at, which is summarize and start having a conversation with the user to help understand this information. So that's what it did here. So it went and grabbed uh, it looks like it grabbed one file, which was the most relevant, which, funny enough, is called How to Create an Order in Profit 21. Uh, so pretty nail on the head there. Um, and so it grabbed all that information and then it started summarizing it for us. So now we have a simple summary of how to do these steps. If I wanted to have it go into a little more detail, so kind of oh, let's see. Tell me more about step. What would have more information about it? Step two, sure. So now it's going to go think and regrab any more content that I might need to understand more about how to enter customer information, summarize that all for you. You're off and running. Uh, But while it's thinking, what you'll also notice is we now have a link. We have a URL to our internal document storage. So it's not the link to the vector database because that's all, dots in space and very abstracted. But this takes you to the raw source material that loaded this content into that vector database. So you can go straight to that and read this in full detail if you wanted to. So yeah, here's kind of what it looks like, as it's describing more about what step two is. It's telling me what does that customer ID mean? It's company ID, sales location, all of these different field definitions. I gave it a pretty useless ask, not really directing it to tell me more about step two. But it did its best to try to describe what all you need to do to fill that step. So yeah, with this capability, it kind of opens up the door uh, to many different things. Taking a step back and just thinking about some of the biggest challenges around content creation, content storage. It's ease of use. How easy is it to find information? How easy is it uh, to summarize or understand the information? You could have tiers and tiers and tiers of folder structures of all this content in various different places. It may be poorly organized, maybe all over the place. Well, when you put in a tool like this, that no longer matters because now we're searching by the content. It's doing all the heavy lifting for us, and um, it's like you have the power of Google in your hands, but wrapped around an expert that can explain it to you in greater detail. Uh, and so just from that ease of use standpoint, that's where one of these huge, valuable opportunities are with this. Um, because this information could be anything. We just happen to train it on a lot of, Epicor content and things like that, but this could very well be, what are your internal processes? What are your internal org structures? One of the challenges in larger orgs is who do I go talk to get something done? Who's in charge of what? That information you could be feeding into an AI, and now you have a HR assistant that you could be talking to learn more about your org. Anything you can imagine. If you can write it down, you can train the AI on it, and that ultimately helps your users.
Yeah, to me, it's super exciting for a multitude of reasons, not the least of which is it levels out the knowledge now uh,
Mhm.
across the enterprise, right? So everybody understands if they're asking the same question or similar question, what the steps are, right? So
Mhm.
it's going to give you consistency. It's going to give you repeatable steps, and that to me is already a huge win. And whether this is as you say, Epicor focused or P21 focused or whatever centralized database or data library we throw at it, right? Now all of a sudden it's uh, vertically aware, I guess, into the next.
Mhm.
So great work, super fascinating, and certainly appreciate all of the detail and time you put into it.